Hello everyone, welcome back. Hope you're all well. In today's video we have an Xbox Series S which has a no video output issue.
For your Xbox and PlayStation repairs, visit consoletherapy.com.
So, as I say, this Xbox Series S has actually got a damaged HDMI port, hence no video output. Let's just zoom you in a little bit and you can see what I mean. See the HDMI port's damaged, and actually that USB port next to it looks damaged as well. You see that? Looks bent. I'll check that one as well. Anyhow, HDMI port definitely needs replacing. So we will walk you through on how to do that. A relatively straightforward video this week. Let's just zoom you out. So on the Xbox Series S, on the rear, there are a couple of screws just underneath these little white pads. So you literally can just pop them off with a flat blade screwdriver, like so, and then off they will pop. Keep hold of them because you'll need them later. Again, just pry off the label with your flat blade screwdriver, peel the label off, and then you'll see two screws underneath. They are T9 screws. So get your T9 bits and just pop those screws off like so. 1 and 2. And then pop the Xbox down, and then the back panel, the panel underneath, I should say, just push that backwards like so, and off that pops. And then you will see a load of green screws. They are to remove the actual casing, and then the silver screws to take out the power supply and the motherboard, and there's a few black screws there as well which hold the heatsink clamp down. So we need to remove all these screws to get the casing off, so let's do that now quickly. Now, with all those screws removed, you need to remove this plastic top cover. Now, the easiest way to do that is, well, first of all, just be careful of these two plastic lugs at the back, which are attached, right, where your black screws, original black screws went into, because they do snap off easily, right? So the easiest way to do this is pull the casing out this way, like so, and then just drop the actual chassis down like so. But you do have to, as I say, pull the casing out that way and then pull the casing forward like so. Next piece to come off is this RF shield that just literally lifts off like so, and then you get access to the power supply and fan. But before you do that, you need to take off your Wi-Fi boards off of the side and front, and your power button board as well. This one looks like it's had a bit of a spill on it, so we'll clean that up as well. So a few screws just to quickly undo here. And then once those panels are removed, one other little RF shield here that you need to remove as well to get the motherboard out. Right, easiest way to do that though, first of all, is take the power supply. That just pulls up and pops off like so. With the fan, there's a fan connector for the power. Just be careful removing that. Hold the actual connector which is on the motherboard, the socket, and then pull up like so, and that will just pop off. Then remove this RF shield. That just literally pops off. Now, it's probably easiest to do it with a little bit of help with a flat blade screwdriver, but do be careful of the USB port. Just gently pry up the shield like so, and off that pops. And then you'll be able to remove the motherboard. Give it a bit of wiggle, and up it comes like so. Let's So that pops out, and then you can move the chassis to one side. You can now remove the fan and then flip the motherboard back over, and you need to remove the X clamp. You can use an X clamp removal tool to do this if you so wish. They are like so. If you haven't got one of those, you can use a flat blade screwdriver. Just be very careful. And you can just pry off the clamp like so. Right, just going around very gently to each corner. Right, to save you buying an X clamp removal tool. Going around, gently prying up each corner like so, and then eventually the X clamp will just come off. Flip it back over. Give a little bit of a push on the motherboard, right, and that will push out the heatsink like so. Now that's off. Put that to one side, and then we can get to our HDMI port. Right, let's just zoom you in a little bit. All right, so as you can see there, we have our HDMI port. That's the USB port we need to change as well. We'll check that one, see if that needs replacing. Now, easiest way to replace these HDMI ports is to first of all add a little bit of leaded solder to the legs on the back, on this side I should say, of the motherboard. There's a couple of these RF shields that you need to remove because they're just going to melt when you put your hot air onto the port. There's a couple on the back here. There's one on the back for the HDMI port. We'll take this one off as well because it's for the USB port. I like to remove the memory card one as well because it will melt otherwise. So with them removed, what we're going to do, we're going to come in with some leaded solder, and we are going to just soak the whole area with some leaded solder. So first of all, a little bit of flux along those legs. Come in with our soldering iron and just go along and just soak the whole area with leaded solder. Doesn't matter what it looks like because we are replacing it. Just making sure that solder is actually on the legs, like so. That will just help remove the HDMI port in a moment. We're going to flip the board over. Let's just get it around the right way. And then these holding legs as well, we are going to just put, as I say, a little bit of flux and then a little bit more leaded solder on there just to make our life easier when we come in with the hot air. So again, just warming up the area with the soldering iron, coming in with some fresh leaded solder, just letting it soak through a little bit. You would never be able to remove the HDMI port just by doing this. You do need the hot air as well, obviously, but that will just help us. All right, and then what we're going to do, we're going to come in with our hot air, heat the whole area up, and then remove the HDMI port. So simple as that, right? My hot air was on 480 degrees at 100% airflow. I do use a larger nozzle when doing this. See the size of that nozzle there? Because it always does help spread the heat around. So there you go, both ports removed. Now what we need to do is just clean up these holes and the pads for the HDMI port and the USB port. What I like to do is completely remove the solder and then replace it with some leaded solder. So with a smaller nozzle on my heat gun, I come back in, heating up the area, and using the solder sucker, just remove the solder that's there. Now with that unleaded factory solder removed, we can come in and add our nice leaded solder. Again, I'm just going to use a little bit of flux, right, just to help the solder flow through. And this time what we're also going to be doing is adding leaded solder to all of our HDMI pads as well. So first of all, come in and we'll do the legs or the holding holes like so. Nice leaded solder. We will then get a finer tip soldering iron and then just run over these pads for the HDMI port like so, making sure we've got no bridges. Just clearing that all up so it's got nice leaded solder on it. And I'll show you this under the microscope in a minute. Now what I like to do with the replacement HDMI port is actually just tin the legs, right? Because this method that I'm about to show you, it does make your life a bit easier when it actually comes to adding on the new HDMI port. So literally I just get my fine tooth soldering iron, come along and literally just add a little bit of solder to each leg as I go, just to tin each leg. Right, so here we are under the microscope. Now, as you can see, we've got a healthy amount of solder in all where the holding legs go for the HDMI port, and we've got no bridges along the pads of our HDMI port. One thing to note on the Xbox Series consoles, you'll see these pads along here, solder pads. They're not actually connected to anything, they just give the actual HDMI port a bit of stability. So you need to make sure this solder is nice and warm as well before you drop the port in. So what we're going to do, we're going to come along with our hot air gun. The nozzle is off my hot air gun. And then from the underside of the motherboard, we are going to heat up where the port goes. And then we just wait for that solder to melt. And as you can see, as that solder melts, it falls into the holes. And then we're going to come in nice and gently with our HDMI port and then just drop it into place and hold it there and then remove our heat. Right, let's spin the board around and have a quick check. Are our pins aligned? Yep, look to be nicely aligned. We'll give them a quick nudge test. So checking they are all solid as we go along. Yeah, no bridges and a nice amount of solder holding these legs as well. Good. Right, that whole area needs cleaning up a bit more. Right, that's everything cleaned up, and as you can see, both ports are very solid and well connected. We've checked all those HDMI pins, they're good. What we will do, we will quickly just pop back on these little RF shields. And then we will get everything reassembled. Let's just pop that one back on there as well. So reassemble is the reverse of disassemble, right? So basically what you were doing earlier just repeats in reverse. But first of all, what you must do is obviously add some nice fresh thermal paste. Remove the old stuff that's on there. Right, there we go, everything put back together again. Let's give it some power and an HDMI cable. Let's power it on and see if we get a video output. So we've got the white lights, which is great news. Let's see if we get any video output. Yes, we do. Look at that video output. There we go. Look at that video output. Brilliant. Good stuff. Right, so what's left for me to do is give the console a good clean up and obviously make sure the shell and chassis is nice and clean. This one was a bit dirty. So thanks very much for watching the video. Really do appreciate your view. Was just a real quick video on showing you how to replace the HDMI port on an Xbox Series S. Hope that video was useful. If it was, please consider giving us a thumbs up. It really does help us out, and also subscribing to the channel. We are releasing videos every Sunday now, so watch out for the next video next week. Take care of yourselves. Speak to you all again soon. Bye bye for now.